Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And now, the question of today is, if I were to give you $1,000 right now and you had to pick 3 coins to buy, which coins would it be and why? Put it in the comment section down below, and let's get on with the video. The Bitcoin market is about to see a $1 billion influx in less than 48 hours. That's a lot of money, and that's a pretty cool story. Bitcoin may have lost its momentum right now after the halving, but the top coin seems to be holding its own. Still, Bitcoin has made some good advancements this year with a cool 30% price upswing since the start of 2020. In fact, a lot of people are still optimistic that Bitcoin will do good before the end of the year. Even more so, the market is about to experience a money influx due to the $1 billion in Bitcoin option market expected to expire this week, which consists almost entirely of call options. Currently, Bitcoin trades at around 9,400 and is backing down from 10K, but basically, they're talking a lot about this option that's expiring here. But as I've told you guys before, it doesn't really make that much sense to conclude anything out of it negatively. It's only just kind of a net neutral thing where it doesn't really make any sense to worry about it because, first of all, these options kind of get due every so often, every week. It just goes around, it comes around. It's nothing new really, and also it's most likely not going to be doing anything whatsoever for the Bitcoin price. So why would you worry about it then? Buying Bitcoin is a fool's game, says economist Steve Hank. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying these daily crypto videos, support the channel by pressing the like button and subscribing. There's certainly no shortage of Bitcoin critics, as we've seen before, and here another one, Steve Hank, is a different type of crypto critic. He says Bitcoin is a crazy investment, but also believes that blockchain can be implemented to create reliable and efficient assets. Hank is an economist and professor at Johns Hopkins University and is known for his work in the currency reform. Back in 2018, he suggested Venezuela should build blockchain stable coins in order to create a more legitimate government and to boost its economy. Now, in recent days, he's been bad-mouthing Bitcoin while hyping up alternative ways to utilize blockchain technology. To quote, "Bitcoin is a highly speculative asset, not a currency. Unreliability, lack of stability, and susceptibility to fraud will continue to plague this crypto. Don't be tricked. Buying Bitcoin is a fool's game." Or actually, a fool's game. Alright, so as I said before, this is just one person's opinion. So why care about that, right? I don't think it's important. Ripple and SBI Holdings to launch ODL service for RippleNet using XRP in 2020 for Asia. This announcement was made by the CEO of SBI Ripple Asia, Adam Trademan, during an interview on June 18th. And basically, it's nothing new, but I want to remind you guys that this is going on. This is still pretty much live, and we shouldn't forget about it. And also down below here, the reason for this is again, talking about Asia and Japan and whatnot. The reason for this is that the US offers low-cost cross-border mint service, so the people over there don't need a system like ODL. Let me actually step back a little bit. Trademan also believes that introduction of ODL would eliminate currency fluctuations and the pre-funding requirement for making cross-border transactions. He explained ODL service wouldn't gain the same adoption and popularity in the United States as it increasing in Asia and Japan. The reason is because the US offers low-cost cross-border mint service, so the people over there don't need a system like ODL, while in Japan, it's not only costly to send money across the border, but it also takes around a whole day, Trademan said. And quote, "ODL can be used to convert the Japanese yen to XRP in real time in Japan, and a family in Vietnam can immediately exchange the XRP to Vietnamese dong. In this way, the price movements of Japanese yen and the Vietnamese dong are almost unaffected." And again, cross-border, I don't know necessarily if they're trying to say, again, in this America story, whether they're talking about the state borders, because somebody explained to me a little while ago that every state has their own dollar bills, but basically since the rate between those, the exchange rate, is like 0%, or at least the certain rate, I think it's exchange rate, but I don't remember for sure, and thus they can be exchanged without any hassle, with any trouble. But basically, there's still different sort of dollars, that every state has issued, which have a different number. But it's basically like saying that the euro and the US dollar would be exactly the same value, and thus you can just interchangeably use them for each other. That's what they're doing over there as well. So people don't care because they're all worth the same. But that would kind of mean, like for example, that any digital dollar is basically also the same thing because they represent the same thing, right? They all represent $1 and they can all be interchanged for each other. So basically, it doesn't really matter which one you use unless there's some other benefit to using a certain one. Wells Fargo expects a stock market sell-off, Bitcoin price to follow? Question mark, question mark, question mark. And well, as we said before, the correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market is a pretty difficult one to analyze. Right at this point, I would say that nobody knows exactly what it's going to be doing over the next couple of years, and especially not what it's going to be doing if a big market crash were to come. I can almost put my money on that because it's almost impossible to predict that type of stuff, as we've seen with recessions as well. It's almost impossible to depict and to understand exactly when a recession is going to hit. And thus these guys try, but getting the exact number, only a couple will be right. And the same thing will happen for when the stock market crashes, if it ever does. We don't know whether or not Bitcoin will follow along. We might know the correlation, we might know a lot of different things, but what Bitcoin will really do if stuff hits the fan, I don't think we can really tell just quite yet. DeFi nightly? Definitely a bubble. Haha, DeFi nightly a bubble. I see. Seller blamed as comp crashes 45% on Coinbase. Well, one thing I just want to kind of prepare you guys for, because this is an article from Cointelegraph, actually, is basically just don't let yourself get baited into any coins because they do really well for a certain amount of time. Like, for example, comp here, it took a pretty big pump. Where is it now? Comp was like in the top 20, I believe, or maybe the 20th spot just now. Right now it's 26 because it's been falling off a little bit again. But yeah, it took some very, very ridiculously big hike into the top, and a lot of people were buying in because they were really, really happy with the way it was going. And the same thing was kind of going on for Chainlink because people like to buy when things are doing well, right? And I just want to kind of warn you guys that if prices go up like crazy, you should be a little bit careful with not buying in too high, if you guys get me. So just layer your buys, don't go all in. If you really know for a fact that the price is going to go up further, then of course go for it. But if you're that doubtful, yeah, don't go too heavy just at once because it might hurt you very, very dearly. ING Bank launches travel rule protocol to ease FATF compliance for crypto businesses. The protocol aims to take a regulatory-first approach, allowing firms dealing with digital assets to comply with the FATF recommendations easily. Top Netherlands bank, ING, introduces a new protocol system to ease crypto exchanges and firms aiming at implementing and recommending FATF's travel rule. And the new protocol, or TRP, travel rule protocol, in short, sets ING as the first bank ever to comply with the travel rule affecting virtual assets, which is pretty damn cool to see that happening from within a Dutch bank. Because of course, again, I'm from the Netherlands, hey, and thus that's pretty cool to see. The nationalism kicks in, going completely berserk and happy. But no, that's pretty damn cool, guys. You can read a little bit more about it if you wanna, but I've explained it earlier on the channel, like 2 days ago. Ripple's ODL indices hit by XRP's inaction. So a lot of tweets are going out right now talking about this ODL. Actually, a ton of them have been going out. And Ripple's on-demand liquidity platform have been one of the most attractive products in the industry. And with these platforms noting significant expansion across corridors to facilitate fast and cheap payments, while the growth of ODL across all corridors was tremendous as the crypto market swiftly recuperated from its crash back in March, these platforms have been nothing quite of a slump, have been noting quite a slump off late. So basically, Ripple explained that on Twitter, why the volume will most likely go down like crazy. It's mostly because they changed or really made public their real perspective and their real game plan. And that's also, maybe it's just to kind of ease us into why the volume was going to go down like crazy. And it's because they shifted, from bigger, a lot of money to, some different people, but just one to more type of entities to, more to more. So kind of going from a single entity that spreads to a lot of people to a lot of smaller entities that spread to a lot of people. So just they shifted the perspective from these big clients to more SME/e-commerce type of businesses, which would of course really, really decrease the volume by far if you're taking your eye away from that. Now, I don't know exactly if they decided to stop some partnerships altogether or what happened to all of that. But it's especially just the corridors that we already had that are being affected right now. At least that's what we can see. But I'm more so talking about, I thought it was like kind of grandfathered in, right? That all these partnerships, they were just going to keep adding to it all. But I don't know necessarily why it all of a sudden just crashed to the bottom, like to almost nothing in a couple of weeks already. I don't really know exactly how that works. Ripple CV pushes adoption of XRP and digital payments. Brad Garlinghouse explained that digital payment options are especially important during the CV crisis, as many people are in financial trouble. The global pandemic has further advanced the adoption of XRP, and Ripple has recorded a growing transactional volume. So in terms of transactional volume, in terms of the amount of transactions, they might have increased like crazy. But in terms of, as we saw just now, the volume in total, so the dollar amount, they've not been doing too good. In the end, though, I know for a fact that it doesn't matter. And it's all for the greater good as well, as I've said to you guys before. But for right now, it can be worrisome to some people. For me, it isn't, but some it might be. And all I can give as advice is just wait it out. I've explained to you guys yesterday, with the help of David Schwartz, how this project is just so huge, and what we're waiting for is really the bare minimum. What we expect is the bare minimum. They got some crazy plans, most likely. At least they got some crazy people with some crazy amount of knowledge, and thus all we need to do is just wait it out and see, because it's all going to fix itself. We're all in a golden position, and we're all lucky to be this first 1% or so to be involved with all of this. Ripple XRP topside bias vulnerable unless it surges past 19.5 cents. Ripple price is slowly moving higher after testing the 1850 support against the US dollar. The price is still trading well above 1920 and the 100 SMA. There was a break above a major bearish trend line with resistance near 1890 on the 4-hour chart of XRP to USD. And the pair must surpass the 1920 and 1950 resistance level to start a fresh increase. All right, so that's again some price talk. Let me know in the comment section down below, guys, if you like this price talk or you're really not up for it at all, because I think it's important to know exactly what the audience wants. And I'm personally not that happy to read through price analysis all day, but if you guys want it and you guys want me to analyze the price on video or go over some of the other people talking about it, just put it down in the comment section down below. And last but not least is what we just saw already, that this year is going to be pretty big still. And again, that's why I'm saying just wait it out. Just wait for some stuff to come. Because piece by piece, a lot of these NDAs are just kind of rolling out where it's like they've most likely disclosed to each other that they shouldn't announce anything before this date, or they should only announce something when it's within 6 months, or for example, of realization or things like that. And maybe now is when they can start to let some things roll, and maybe tomorrow it's going to be the day they get the biggest partnership. Who knows? I'm just prepared for it. I'm waiting for it all, but I guess we'll see, and we'll wait. Guys, thank you all for watching this video. It is like 29 degrees Celsius right now. It's crazy freaking hot, so I'm going to leave it where it is. I'll see you guys again in another crypto video. Take care, everybody. Have a very, very